guys, in today's video I'm doing Random Precure Opinions Part 4. I was holding off on making this just because I wanted to catch up with Tropical Rouge and I have a lot of opinions about the season so far, so yeah, let's talk about it. So honestly, Tropical Rouge has been a very enjoyable season so far. At first I thought it was going to be kind of slow, like episodes 1 to 6 when they were gathering all the cures was kind of slow, but it really started to pick up at around episode 9. I find the filler to be very fun and enjoyable. My favorites include the one where the aquapod gets confiscated, so Laura has to kind of like skateboard around the school, the sand art episode, the preschool episode, and the one where we get to hear Laura sing on the school broadcast. I also really love Laura's awakening arc into Cure Lemaire. I thought it was really cool to have the Cures battle two Yarnetas on the boat, and then Cure Summer had her one-on-one versus Chongi Ray, and Laura was, in the witch's castle trying to escape and whatever. It was just like super fun. Now I just want to talk about each of the Cures individually and my opinions on them. Similar to Go Princess Precure, I feel like this is one of those seasons where I don't have a particular favorite. I don't really stan a single one. I don't feel so strongly about them. Starting with Manatsu, aka Cure Summer. I do think it's pretty cool how she's just very nonchalant about herself. She's able to like teach all the other girls like new things and new skills, and they're just constantly impressed by her endless motivation and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I do think she can be a little bit annoying sometimes, especially like in the whole like radio episode, like where she was like shouting. But like overall, like she's a pretty decent Cure. Not really one of my favorite leaders, but yeah. Now on to Sango, aka Cure Coral. I love her Cure design, very pretty in purple. She's not really getting enough focused episodes, which I don't particularly mind too much. I guess because she's not really my favorite, but I do understand people saying like she doesn't get enough focused episodes. I still feel like even though she doesn't get a lot of focused episodes, she gets a good amount of dialogue, which is the case for the other girls as well. Like, even though they aren't getting, as much focus as like Manatsu and Laura, they still get hefty amounts of dialogue thrown in there. But I do think she's pretty cool, and I love her whole like shielding thing with the X. That's pretty cool. One of my favorite battle scenes is where she helps Lemaire by using her X shield to deflect the rock back up so that Lemaire can like smash it against the flashlight Yarneta. That was like super badass. Now on to Cure Papaya, aka Minori Senpai. I like her whole civilian personality. They're trying to go for kind of like a Komachi thing where she's like a bookworm and, she loves solving mysteries. But there's a distinct difference between them in that Komachi was very expressive and emotional, whereas Minori, she is a little bit emotionless, and not in an insulting way. She tends to not express her emotions as direct, which is in contrast to her Cure form, in which she takes on a more playful persona. But to be honest, I have to say Cure Papaya is probably my least favorite out of the 5. Not only am I not really a fan of her Cure design, I don't really like the whole like cutesy thing she does. It's just not my vibe. I'm not saying that they should change her character because it's like that's what the character is. It's just my personal opinion. Like, I'm not a fan of the character. Asuka Senpai, aka Cure Flamingo, she's pretty cool. I do love how her personality kind of changes over time. How at the beginning she's very aloof and doesn't want to hang out with the girls, but over time, and not necessarily over time because it's in a matter of like 2 episodes, unfortunately, because I guess like the season is more lore focused. She just kind of is with the girls and she loves being with them. We're gonna get like a Asuka episode soon, and I hear a lot of people as well saying that there's not enough Asuka episodes, which again is understandable, but I do think she does get a hefty amount of dialogue here and there, which for me is great. I love her civilian design as well as her Cure form. And can I just say, I never have a problem with any Cure civilian designs. I feel like every single Cure looks fine in civilian design because it's like they're civilians, they're not trying to look, spectacular. But also her Cure design is super cool as well. One of my favorite scenes is in the beach episode where Manatsu has an idea for the sand art, and then she kind of says, "Oh, you mean like this?" and she kind of corrects it. And lastly, Laura. I know I said I don't particularly have a favorite in this season, but I guess if I had to choose a favorite, it would be Laura. Obviously, the most focused character in the season, kind of like how they did with Cure Milky and Star Twinkle Precure. I just think Laura's a very fun and mischievous character, if you'd say. She really reminds me of Milky Rose in a way, and I do like her growth as a character, especially where it's like she longs to be human. I really love that arc where she was like feeling super lonely, like the girls were doing the sand art, and she couldn't participate because she obviously can't be seen by the humans. And also the club activities, she can't, be seen by the students. So I like that whole arc where she was feeling lonely and longed to be human. And, she was like sneaking into the mermaid, Little Mermaid, because she wanted to be human as well. Like once she becomes Cure Lemaire and she becomes human, it's very much, the vibe is very much like, okay, anyways, like it's just very brushed over. There's not enough like wonder where it's like, wow, like finally human, I can't believe I can spend time with my friends, and you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like brushed over like super quick. Well, anyways, like next plot line, but it's whatever. Overall, I do think Laura's a very fun character, and I love her design as Cure Lemaire. Yeah, previously I said this before in my Cure Lemaire video, but I was worried that the design would be like ugly as a Cure, but I think she looks lovely, and I love the pink and blue together. together. It looks super nice. As for the art and animation of this season, I think it's really, the animation is literally beautiful. There are seasons, for instance, like Star Twinkle Precure, where some of the episodes, the animation can be a little stiff, but in this season, I feel like all the episodes have really pretty like art, like the backgrounds are just really pretty, and the animation is always like smooth and just crystal clear, and I love that. As for the transformations, I think all the transformations look great. Pure Flamingos seems to have the least amount of frames, which I guess is like not a big deal, but it's very, you can just easily see that it has like the least amount of frames compared to the other girls. And I love like the end pose sound when they finish transforming. There's like a sparkly, girly sound. Love it. The attacks like are okay in this season. They're not really my favorite attacks. Overall, Tropical Rush has been super good so far, and I love it. Now let's talk about the movie. Tropical Rouge Precure will be meeting Heartcatch Precure in the season's feature film, much to the surprise of many people, including myself, because I thought it was going to be Smile Precure. I was smile baited. And this isn't entirely disappointing because I do love Heartcatch Precure. It was actually the first season of Precure that I finished way back in 10th grade when I was a 16-year-old. So yeah, I really do love Heartcatch. So I'm excited to see my girls, Cure Sunshine and Cure Moonlight. It looks like it's going to have a lot of focus on Laura, which I don't really mind because I love Laura. I think it would be different if I didn't like her, but I love her, so I don't really mind that's going to focus on her a lot. But I do, and I rant about this every Heartcatch, every time I talk about Heartcatch. You probably already know what I'm going to talk about, but it seems like Marine is going to do all the talking. Marine Blossom. And before someone says, oh, it was mentioned in an interview that they'll all get speaking roles, and also they're going to all be singing the ending. The ending will feature all 9 Cures singing. Okay, but it's like in the Yes Precure 5 Go Healing Good movie, they all got speaking lines, yes, but who did the most talking? Dream. So it's like it might just be the same thing again. Honestly, that's part of the reason why Cure Marine's is one of my least favorite Cures. It really removes a lot of her character, in my opinion, if she's constantly being shoved into the screen. So yeah, I'm hoping that they're going to include those 2 more. Unlike the S5 girls, which again, I would actually talk about that movie because I have a lot to rant about in that movie. It seems like the Heartcatch girls will be getting a lot more screen time compared to the S5 girls. For instance, we see them a lot in civilian form, wearing coats and playing in the snow with the girls of Tropical Rouge. And also we see their transformation sequences shown. And in one trailer, we even see Heartcatch Precure's super silhouette final attack being used, which is super cool and epic that they're actually bringing that back. 10th grade me or high school me would have loved this because back in high school, Cure Mint actually wasn't my favorite Cure. My favorite Cure was Cure Sunshine, and I was obsessed with her super silhouette design. So every All-Stars movie, I was always hoping Heartcatch would come back, and now they're finally getting it. And of course, it's hype, but I'm not as attached to them as much anymore. But yeah, it's like pretty cool that the super silhouette is coming back. Or I actually don't know if it's coming back, or if they were just like using it to advertise the fact that Heartcatch Precure, is going to be on YouTube of the Japanese YouTube channel. So I don't know if the movie is going to feature the attack. And now I want to talk about the Healing Good X Precure, Yes Precure 5 movie. I don't know the full title, official title of this movie, but overall the movie was okay, right? It was okay, I'll just say that. If you're going in looking for Yes Precure 5 content, like me, like you're not a Healing Good fan, well, maybe you are a Healing Good fan, I'm not. I just went in for the Yes 5 girls. You're going to be disappointed. If you're a Healing Good fan, you might enjoy this movie because it's primarily a Healing Good movie, and the Yes Precure 5 girls like really don't get any screen time, like literally at all. On a positive note, if you love action, this movie has like super great fights, like a lot of physical combat combined with lots of magical attacks. So it's like really fun fight scenes, beautiful art, and just overall like really pretty movie. My rant is mostly directed to the whole Yes 5 girls because they were advertised so heavily. So I kind of feel, no, not kind of, I feel very clickbaited because they just barely appear. We first see them appear to aid the girls in their battle against Ego, I think that was his name. He makes his clones, so they have to like fight him. So that fight was pretty cool. I love the whole scene where it's Cure Mint, she protects Cure Fontaine. Something interesting was that Cure Fontaine's shield breaks easily by Ego, whereas Cure Mint's shield cannot be broken by him, which is kind of cool. I don't know if that was intentional that they're showing that Cure Mint is like stronger, like she's an OG Cure, but I thought that was like pretty cool. So later when they defeat like Ego and his clones, the Yes 5 girls are okay, like catch you later, like we'll be around, but then they very off screen, they just kind of get captured by Kaguya's stepmom and Ego. They just get caught in like these lab test tubes, and it's explained in, if you didn't know, alongside this movie they released an audio drama which details the Yes 5 girls' perspectives of how they were dealing with the movie, what they were doing and stuff, and Bunbi is actually featured in it as well. And I think that this audio drama was released most likely as a result of them not being featured in the movie, which kind of says a lot, like the fact that they had to release an audio drama separate from the main motion picture to give more perspective to these characters, which is most likely a result of the pandemic, the virus. So, they wanted to not have that many characters to animate. So I get that. But, keeping in mind, yes, there was a virus. And I just want to mention that because I know people are going to be like, how dare you? I get it, the pandemic, but I just want to express how I feel. I mean, hell, I just rewatched New Stage 3 recently because it's one of my favorite All-Star movies. And the S5 girls actually get a lot more screen time and speaking roles there than they even do here, which is super ironic. But again, the pandemic, I didn't really listen to the full audio drama because it's not subbed yet. But it is cool because they use Rainbow Rose Explosion against Ego Ego, and it kind of explains how they get kidnapped and whatever. The S5 girls later break free from Kaguya's mom's test tubes, and even then their appearance is extremely brief. They're not even shown on the screen a lot. And in the final fight, they literally don't do much. They just get hit by the Ego Ego when he turns into his whole plant form, which is actually pretty cool that he had a whole plant final form, even though his previous form was a wolf or whatever. So it was pretty random but interesting. The S5 girls just get swung around like Barbie dolls, and I'm just okay, I wasn't a fan of that. I do love the partner transformations. I think they're very, very pretty. I love the whole kimono style. Pure Grace in particular has such a lovely partner style. I love her kimono when she fights in it. She looks super elegant and super badass. But the Kaguya Grace thing, I just thought that was so extra and so unnecessary, especially because, again, all the budget used in that could have been used to give to more Yes 5 girl scenes, but I don't know the logistics of it, so I don't know, maybe that would be more time consuming. I don't know. Another thing I was wondering was if it was too hefty of a workload to give them more animation, couldn't they at least have used stock footage from S5 GoGo and just stuck it in there? Again, I don't know the logistics of it. Maybe that's a copyright thing. I know it's all owned by Toei Animation, but again, I don't know how it works, and maybe they want to have all original animation for the most part. I have no idea, but it was pretty cool to see them in civilian form at the end. Even though it was just 2 frames, it was pretty nice to see them in civilian form. Overall, this movie is great if you love feeling good and you're not really into the S5 that much. You'll love a nice little plot line. Kaguya and her stepmom had a cool little plot going on, and the Healing Good girls. Okay, so that's all my opinions for recent Precure news. Now these are just going to be extremely random, out of the blue, random Precure opinions. It would be really cool in a future Precure season if there was a mid-season where it's the weapon is a motorcycle, and you're probably wondering how the hell are they gonna sell a motorcycle to kids. It would just be a little motorcycle toy, maybe with a figure of the Cure or something. But in the show, obviously it's going to be a life-size motorcycle, and they can ride through the sky, and it leaves a trail of purifying glitter, and that destroy the enemy or something. That'd be really fun and quirky. Or a team of motorcycle Cures. In Sweet Precure, I always found it kind of annoying how once Ellen becomes good and she becomes Cure Beat, she can no longer transform into her cat form, Siren. And it's weird because every other Cure who has a mascot / fairy form can, go back in that form, but for hers, she can't. I guess maybe they thought her form was too scary and evil looking to be chilling with the other fairies. I love in Precure when, and hopefully this isn't hard to explain, but I love in Precure when they use their final group stock footage attack on the final villain of the season and it successfully works and defeats them. What I mean by this is, let me just use Sailor Moon as an example. Well, Sailor Moon has an attack called Starlight Honeymoon Therapy Kiss, which uses against Nehelenia, and in the manga it kills her, but in the anime they make it completely powerless and it just doesn't work. Keep in mind that this is a new attack she just got an episode ago. And for me, that's just a trope I never liked, where their final attack is not enough, so they end up having to use this super special thingy only in the last episode, whereas their stock footage attack is powerless against the enemy. For me, I'm not a fan of that. I love in Precure, and there's a lot of seasons that do this. Hagto, for example, they use final attack, I forgot what it was called, on George, and it ends up able to purify him. And for me, I just like this because it shows that their final attack is super OP, but they just have to have the right opportunity to use it, you know what I mean? Future color schemes that I would love to see in a future Precure season include, well, the first one would be pink, blue, yellow, and green. This is a very basic color scheme that Precure has not delivered to us yet, but it would be really pretty. It's a very standard color scheme, and it just goes together very well. Very similar to Tenkai Nights, except instead of red, it would be pink. I would also love to see pink, green, and white. This gives me very much elegant vibes and just something very classy and rosy, so I'd love to see that. And maybe for the 20th anniversary of Precure, they can feature all the colors: pink, red, yellow, green, blue, purple, and maybe black and white, I guess. That'd be super cool to feature the entire rainbow for the 20th anniversary. Cover all the bases, that'd be pretty cool. So now I want to talk about Precure seasons that I would love to get a sequel. Obviously, this is very imaginary and all hypothetical because I don't think this is actually going to happen. But the first season that I would love to get a sequel is Heartcatch Precure, and it would be really cool to see a sequel, either a continuation of the 4 girls or like maybe a spin-off, because you know at the end of Heartcatch we see, I think it's Sabomi's daughter or like some little girl, I forgot who it was, it's been a while, but like there was like a little girl at the end of Heartcatch who has like a heart perfume, so maybe it could be like the next generation of Heartcatch. But I'm leaning more on the side of like I would love to see the four girls back again with the addition of a new Cure, the reborn, reincarnated Dark Precure, and she's reborn as a green Cure. That would be like really cool to see how Dark Precure deals with her past trauma and, you know, rekindling her friendship. Well, not rekindling because she never had it in the first place, but basically forming a friendship with Yuri, aka Cure Moonlight. It would also be like very well deserved for Cure Moonlight because unlike a lot of the other mid-season Cures, she joined at around episode 30 something. So this would be a great way to just put more focus on Cure Moonlight. This design in particular is by Silverglass on DeviantArt, and they call her Cure Clover. And oh my goodness, I just love this design with her whole like bright green bob cut, the clover motif, and just as a parallel to Cure Moonlight having a long dress, she has a long dress as well. So I think that design is gorgeous. Another season that I would love to have a sequel is Smile Precure, and this is going to be such a, like an out there idea, but because of Cure Echo's association with Smile Precure due to the new stage movie, maybe Cure Echo can be a mid-season cure for Smile Precure. But again, this is just like imaginary haha, because it's like I know she's very much her own girl. Like she's not a Smile Cure, but she does have smile motifs and stuff, but she's not really a Smile Cure. This is just obviously super imaginary. But so either that, or this is a better idea in my opinion for Cure Echo to just like have her own season. I mentioned in my like whole color scheme dream idea of like a 20th anniversary Precure, they had to include all the colors of the rainbow. Perhaps it can be a whole thing where it's like it's a Cure Echo focus season, like she's the main Cure, she's the white Cure, and she has this whole like rainbow team surrounding her, being her friend, and just, you know, they're like, oh Cure Echo, you're our queen and we love you, Ayumi. So that could be like a whole dynamic going on, and maybe the one that she's closest to, like her bestie, could be the pink Cure. And I don't know, maybe the pink Cure is the leader, because I don't know if they would like, I don't know, whatever, but it's a whole idea. Yeah, I don't really feel like so strongly about these ideas. I'm just like throwing out random ideas out there. I really wasn't a big fan of the form changes in Mahotsukai Precure. You know, depending on the episode, like which form change are we gonna get? Is it gonna be Ruby, Sapphire, or Topaz? I just would have preferred if they just stayed in Diamond all the time, and you know, they had like an array, like a huge array of magical abilities. You know, especially with their witches. I feel like the whole witch theme wasn't really emphasized in battle. It would have been cool to see them do various spells, like just the whole way like it was executed. I feel like they weren't really witchy enough in battle, if that makes sense. It would have been cool for them to cure up rapapa more in battle. And for example, you know, like there's a falling bridge, and it's like falling onto like about to fall on people, so she like Cure Miracle couldn't like cure up rapapa and like disappear, make that thing disappear, or just interact with their environment and with spells, as opposed to these 3 random form changes. I absolutely love Cure Miracle Magical and Felice's default designs, like so good, like so top tier. A lot of people like are iffy on Cure Magical's Batwing design and her like overcomplicated dress, but I love Cure Magical's design. I do like how the season kind of had callbacks to Futari Precure and Max Heart as well, with, you know, Cure Miracle Magical doing Diamond Eternal. There's like a Black Thunder and like a White Thunder thing going on with the whole duo. We see you Marble Screw vibes, and also when they do Extreme Rainbow, it gives me very much Extreme Luminario vibes from Max Heart. So that's a pretty cool callback. And I don't mean to bring up the whole like green hair Cure Felice thing again, but like at the end we also see Mother Rapapa, who basically looks identical to Cure Felice, and this is a sneak peek of what Felice could have looked with green hair, and she just looks so beautiful with this shade of minty green hair. It's beautiful. Also, I randomly came across this edit of Cure Felice with green hair, and oh my goodness, she literally looks so beautiful. I just think she looks amazingly fairy-like with green hair. So I just finished rewatching Yes Precure 5 Go-Go because they're my favorite team, so I wanted to like see them again. Although I do love this season and the action is like really great, I do think it has some flaws. Well, let me just start with the positive stuff first. The fights are great. And all the filler is really fun to me. Particularly one of my favorite episodes was when they do the whole fear test and like they're all wearing kimonos at the festival. Komachi helps Rin face her fear of ghosts, which for me I thought was like a great episode character development wise for Komachi, because it's like usually she's the one in need of help from the other girls, but this episode she was completely brave and like just helping Rin. So that was like so wholesome, and I just love this episode. Also, I think Milky Rose, aka Kurumi, is actually a pretty good character, and my opinion's actually changed. I don't think she takes up too much screen time in this season. I feel like, you know, she is very evenly distributed, where she's not so much in your face compared to a lot of mid-season cures. And it's like, yeah, she does bicker with Nozomi, but I love the moments where it's like Nozomi or Cure Dream is being super badass. So Milky Rose has no choice but to depend on Cure Dream, or is like saved by Cure Dream, recognizes like how strong Nozomi is, and she respects her. So I love those moments, it's like super wholesome. Another episode episode I love is episode 43, where Eternal's boss, like, so he goes to meet Nozomi, and just the whole vibe of this episode is very mysterious and ominous. Nozomi goes to study in the library, but like on her way home, that's when she encounters him, and just like the whole build up to him going to meet her is like so ominous. The wind is blowing even inside, and Coco's like, why the hell is the wind blowing even though the windows are closed? What I also love about this episode is that when they use Rainbow Rose Explosion, they're almost about to be overpowered. Cure Mint is the one who gives Cure Dream the courage to, push the attack to finally defeat the monster, which for me I love because it's like giving Komachi the screen time and make, again, like, the one who's brave in this situation to help her. Also, the transformations of the season are so beautiful and badass. Like, I just think they're such a great upgrade from the original Icebreaker 5. In that season, the transformations were great, but I just feel like they were quite simple. The outfit pieces just go on piece by piece, and this one they all have individualized transformations. Clearly, Cure Lemonade has the most detailed and, in my opinion, the best transformation, because just the way her outfit kind of snaps on piece by piece is very stylish and trendy. These attacks of the season are probably some of my favorite Precure attacks ever. They're all very badass, and just when the Cures use these attacks, they're just like, I feel like they just exude so much power. Unfortunately, I just feel like they don't use these attacks enough like near the later half of the season. Instead, they're kind of like jumping around until Coco tells them to use Rainbow Rose Explosion, which for me, that's a really big flaw. Like, why do they just stop using their stock footage attacks? The main big negative of the season is that the characterization of the four girls, Rin, Urara, Komachi, and Karen, is very minimal compared to Yes 5. Like, Yes 5, they get a lot of in-depth, storyline about themselves, but in this season, it's very much focused on the fairies and Syrup. And again, like, I love Syrup, so I don't mind. Like, he's super cute. My favorite fairy, Ropu Ropu vibes. I just feel like the girls really just don't get enough screen time, especially in the final battle. Literally, they don't have any dialogue. Like, not even just Komachi, but like the other girls, they just really don't even talk enough. It's mostly just Nozomi and Syrup, the villains, talking. So yeah, that's a really big flaw. I also just am not a fan of Coco and Knots. I cannot stand their voices as fairies. It's super obnoxious, and I just feel like they should have just talked in their regular voices. That would be a hell of a lot less jarring to, just hear them with their deep male voices, as opposed to like this like falsetto that they do. It really kills a lot of scenes that would otherwise have been super emotional. Like, once I hear their voices, like, oh my god, please stop, please stop. And lastly, another thing about Icebreaker 5 Go-Go that I don't like is the four fairy kings. There's like two queens, I think, right? They were all obnoxious characters, and they just did not need to exist. Especially the bird one who goes like low, 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 and Queen Crepe or whatever her name was, and she was like in love with Coco. Such an unnecessary character, because that was already Kurumi / Milky Rose's trope where she was in love with Coco. So like, why the heck are you giving another character that same role? I feel like instead of four kings, they could have just made them four jewels that they had to collect, or, four items instead of four actual living beings. But hey, that's just me. Overall, Yes Icebreaker 5 Go-Go is a wonderful season, and I need to get to watching Yes 5. So if this is like messy, like, why am I reviewing the second season? It's because I haven't rewatched the first one. So yeah. So those have been my opinions. Tell me yours down below, and thanks for watching.